Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Yesterday we had an almost empty room, not empty room, but there was only a couple of three devotees. Now we have a room full of devotees again, and my life is back. Because association with devotees is life, is our life and soul. So thank you for joining us and being with us. And I want to share with you that I received a very lovely note from Sudevi Devi, and she might be even listening. And she told me how inspired she was, and she went out and did book distribution behind a table for the first time in I don't know how long. And I was so inspired, I wrote a letter back. Anyway, thank you very much. Sanatana Goswami wrote a wonderful, oh Hare Krishna, Dr. G. Hare Krishna. Srila Sanatana Goswami, Prabhupada, wrote a wonderful glorification of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which teaches us a lot actually, and the more you hear it, the deeper you'll go into the Srimad-Bhagavatam, believe me. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram Ki Jaya. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastadipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwan Dudita Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Marika Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Mandistadagamad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namosute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutanayin atini chutatakada hanamunchagadachin mam premnarit kandayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, we're coming to the end of the 7th canto, moving right along, 8, 9, 10. We're getting close. We're getting close to the summum bonum. Okay. 15th chapter, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. And this is a very intense chapter. Every verse is full of, instructions for us on how to behave, how to think, feel, will, and act as a human being. And when you read it clearly, you'll understand how few human beings there are left on this planet. Hare Krishna, Doctor. Beginning with text 59. In this world, there are 5 elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. But the body is not a reflection of them, nor a combination or transformation of them. because the body and its ingredients are neither distinct nor amalgamated. All such theories are insubstantial. Purport. We got some doctors in the room. I'm trying to get their attention for this verse. It's very deep. Purport. A forest is certainly a transformation of the earth. But one tree does not depend on another tree. If one is cut down, this does not mean that the others are cut down. Therefore, the forest is neither a combination nor a transformation of the trees. The best explanation is given by Krishna himself. Maya tatamidang sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Bhagavad Gita 9:4. Everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. As it is said, Parasya Shaktir Bibidaiva Shruyate. The Lord has multi-energies, which are expressed in different ways. The energies are existing, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead also exists simultaneously. Because everything is His energy, He is simultaneously one with everything and different from everything. Thus, our speculative theories that Atma, the living force, is a combination of matter, that matter is a transformation of the soul, or that the body is part of the soul, are all insubstantial. Since all the Lord's energies are simultaneously existing, one must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although He is everything, He is not present in everything. The Lord must be worshipped in His original form as Krishna. He can also present Himself in any one of His various expanded energies. When we worship the deity of the Lord in the temple, the deity appears to be stone or wood. Now, because the Supreme Lord does not have a material body, He is not stone or wood, yet stone and wood are not different from Him. Thus, by worshipping stone or wood, we get no result. But when the stone and wood are represented in the Lord's original form, by worshipping the deity, we get the desired result. This is supported by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achintya Bedha Beda, which explains how the Lord can present Himself everywhere and anywhere in a form of His energy to accept service from the devotee. Even your computer pixels. Text 60. Make all your desktops pictures of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. Yes. Text 60. Because the body is formed of the 5 elements, it cannot exist without these subtle sense objects. Therefore, since the body is false, the sense objects are also naturally false or temporary. Text 61. When a substance and its parts are separated, the acceptance of similarity between one and the other is called illusion. While dreaming, one creates a separation between the existences called wakefulness and sleep. It is in such a state of mind that the regulative principles of the scriptures, consisting of injunctions and prohibitions, are recommended. I'm going to read that again. It's deep, and I'm going to read it again. Try to concentrate. This is extremely important. When a substance and its parts are separated, the acceptance of similarity between one and the other is called illusion. When I'm speaking and my form and sound is going into that phone, and then it's being put around by the internet, and on the other side of the world, somebody is watching. Or when we stop this and it's recorded and I leave the room, and then you play it back, and somebody's standing outside the door they'll say, oh, Maharaj is in the room. Maharaj isn't in the room. Maharaj is over there in my room. But that's the separated energy. And it's not different from me, but it's separated from me, and therefore it's not. I'll read this again. While dreaming, one creates a separation between the existences called wakefulness and sleep. It is in such a state of mind that the regulator principles of the scriptures, consisting of injunctions and prohibitions, are recommended. Purport. In material existence, there are many regulated principles and formalities. If material existence is temporary or false, this does not mean that the spiritual world, although similar, is also false. That one's material body is false or temporary does not mean that the body of the Supreme Lord is also false or temporary. The spiritual world is real, and the material world is similar to it. For example, in the desert, we sometimes find a mirage, but although the water in the mirage is false, we do sometimes find, this does not mean, I'll read that again, sorry. For example, in the desert, we sometimes find a mirage, but although the water in the mirage is false, this does not mean that there is no water in reality. Water exists, but not in the desert. Similarly, nothing real is in this material world, but reality is in the spiritual world. The Lord's form and His abode, Goloka Vrindavan, in the Vaikuntha planets, are eternal realities. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that there is another Prakriti, or nature, which is real. This is explained by the Lord Himself in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 8:19-21. Bhutagramak sa evayam bhutva praliyate ratyargame bashakparta pravavatyharagame pradastasmat tubhavanyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaksasarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashyati avyakto chada it yuktas tam ahu paramam gatim yam prapya nanivartante tadama paramam mama. Again and again, the day of Brahma comes and all living beings are active. And again, the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Yet there is another nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. The material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is temporary or false, but the spiritual world is an eternal reality. Text 62. After considering the oneness of existence, activity, and paraphernalia, and after realizing the self to be different from all actions and reactions, the mental speculator, Muni, according to his own realization, gives up the three states of wakefulness, dreaming, and sleep. Purport. The three words Bhavadvaita, Kriyadvaita, and Dravyadvaita are explained in the following verses. However, one has to give up all the non-duality of philosophical life in the material world and come to the actual life of reality in the spiritual world in order to attain perfection. Text 63. When one understands that result and cause are one, and that duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of a cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conception of oneness called Bhavadvaita. I'll read that again. When one understands that result and cause are one, and that duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of a cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conception of oneness, called bhava, dvaita. 64. My dear Yudhishthir, Partha, when all the activities one performs with his mind, words, and body are dedicated directly to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one reaches oneness in activities, called kriya dvaita. I heard the Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu the other day coin a very lovely phrase about what real liberation is. It says, one merges into the oneness of the variety of the spiritual activities in the spiritual world. Purport. This Krishna consciousness movement is teaching people how to come to the stage of dedicating everything to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:27, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjahosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat karushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. If whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we think, and whatever we plan is for the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement, this is oneness. Again, if whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we think, and whatever we plan is for the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement, this is oneness. There is no difference between chanting for Krishna consciousness and working for Krishna consciousness. There is no difference between chanting for Krishna consciousness and working for Krishna consciousness. On the transcendental platform, they are one. But we must be guided by the spiritual master about this oneness. We should not manufacture our own oneness. Text 65. When the ultimate goal and interest of oneself, one's wife, one's children, one's relatives, and all other embodied living beings is one, this is called dravya dvaita, or oneness of interest. Purport. The actual interest of all living entities, indeed the goal of life, is to return home back to Godhead. This is the interest of one's own self, one's wife, one's children, one's disciples, and one's friends, relatives, countrymen, and all humanity. The Krishna consciousness movement can give directions for management by which everyone can partake in Krishna conscious activities and reach the ultimate goal, which is known as Swartagatim. This objective of everyone's interest is Vishnu. Because people do not know this, Nate Vidu Swartagatim Hi Vishnum, they are making various plans by which to fulfill so many concocted interests in life. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring everyone to the highest interests. The process may be differently named, but if the aim is one, people should follow it to achieve the ultimate goal in life. Unfortunately, people are thinking of different interests, and blind leaders are misleading them. Everyone is trying to reach the goal of complete happiness materially. Because people do not know what complete happiness is, they are materially diverted toward different interests. Text 66. In normal conditions, in the absence of danger, O King Yudhishthir, a man should perform his prescribed activities according to his status of life, with the things, endeavors, process, and living place that are not forbidden for him, and not by any other means. Purport. This instruction is given for men in all statuses of life. Generally, society is divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas, Sannyasis, and Grihastas. Everyone must act according to his position and try to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that will make one's life successful. This was instructed at Naimisharanya. Atak pumbir dvijashreshta varnashama vibhagashaha swanustitasya dharmasya sangsitir haritoshanam. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to caste divisions and order of life, is to please the Lord Hari. Bhagavatam 1:2-13. Everyone should act according to his occupational duties just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then everyone will be happy. Text 67. O King, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literatures, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. Purport. The ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, Krishna. Therefore, either by Vedic regulated principles or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Krishna should be the target. Everyone should try to reach Krishna from any position of life. Krishna accepts service from anyone. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, Mam hi partha vipashritya ye pisyu papayoneyaha striyo vaishtas tata shudras tipiyanti padam gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. It does not matter what one's position is. If one aims at reaching Krishna by performing his occupational duty under the direction of the spiritual master, his life is successful. It is not that only sannyasis, vanaprasthas, and brahmacharis can reach Krishna. A grihasta, a householder, can also reach Krishna, provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desires. An example of this is cited in the next verse. Text 68. O King Yudhishthir, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, all of you Pandavas defeated the greatest dangers posed by numerous kings and demigods. By serving the lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered great enemies who were like elephants, and thus you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By his grace, may you be delivered from material involvement. Purport. Placing himself as an ordinary householder, Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired from Narada Muni how a griha mudadi, a person who is entangled in household life and who thus continues to remain a fool, can be delivered. Narada Muni encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthir by saying, you are already on the safe side, because you, along with your entire family, have become a pure devotee of Krishna. By Krishna's grace, the Pandavas conquered in the battle of Kurukshetra and were saved from many dangers posed not only by kings, but sometimes even by the demigods. Thus, they are a practical example of how to live in security and safety by the grace of Krishna. Everyone should follow the example of the Pandavas, who showed how to be saved by the grace of Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is intended to teach how everyone can live peacefully in this material world, and at the end of life, return home, back to Godhead. In the material world, there are always dangers at every step. Padam padam, yad bipadam. natesham. Nonetheless, if one takes shelter of Krishna without hesitation and keeps under the shelter of Krishna, he can easily cross the ocean of nations. Samashrita ye padapalava plavam mahat padam punya yasho morare. To the devotee, this great ocean of nations becomes like a puddle of water in the hoofprint of a cow. A pure devotee, without embarrassing himself by trying for elevation in so many ways, stays in the safest position as a servant of Krishna, and his life is eternally safe, without a doubt. Text 69. Long, long ago, in another Mahakalpa, millennium of Brahma, I existed as the Gandharva known as Upabarhana. I was very respected by the other Gandharvas. Now this other millennium, this is another life of Brahma. This is a previous creation, not just another millennium or another. This is the previous creation of Brahma. Yeah. Srila Narada Muni is giving a practical example from his past life. Formerly, during the previous lifetime of Lord Brahma, that was the lifetime of Lord Brahma is 311 trillion years, give or take change of 80 billion years. But unfortunately, Narada Muni was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka. But unfortunately, as will be explained, he fell from his exalted position in Gandharva Loka, where the inhabitants are extremely beautiful and expert in singing, to become a Shudra. Nonetheless, because of his association with devotees, he became more fortunate than he was in Gandharva Loka. Even though cursed by the Prajapatis to become a Shudra in his next life, he became the son of Lord Brahma. The word Mahakalpe is described by Srila Madhvacharya as Atita Brahma Kalpe. Brahma dies at the end of a life of many millions of years. Many millions of years means a lot of millions of years. Like 300,000 millions of years. The day of Brahma is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day. Such also is the duration of his night. Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, can remember incidents from millions of years ago. Similarly, his pure devotee, like Narada Muni, can also remember incidents from a past life millions and millions of years ago. Text 70. I had a beautiful face and a pleasing, attractive bodily structure, decorated with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp. I was most pleasing to the women of my city. Thus I was bewildered, always feeling lusty desires. Purport. From the description of the beauty of Narada Muni when he was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka, it appears that everyone on that planet is extremely beautiful and pleasing and always decorated with flowers and sandalwood. Upabarhana was Narada Muni's name previously. Upabarhana was specifically expert in decorating himself to attract the attention of women, and thus he became a playboy, as described in the next verse. There's still hope, boys, there's still hope. Just stay in the Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna. To be a playboy in this life is unfortunate because too much attraction to women will lead one to fall into the association of Shudras, who can easily take advantage of mingling with women without restriction. In this present age of Kali, when people are manda, sumanda mataya, very bad because of the Shudra mentality, such free mingling is prominent. Among the higher classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, there is no chance for men to mingle with women freely, but in the Shudra community, such mingling is open, because there is no cultural education in this age of Kali. Everyone is spiritually untrained, and everyone is therefore to be considered Shudra. Ashudak Shudra Kalpa Hi Brahmana Kali Sambhavaha. When all the people become Shudras, certainly they are very bad. Manda Sumanda Mateyo. Thus they manufacture their own way of life, with the result that they gradually become unfortunate. Manda Bhagya. And furthermore, they are always disturbed by various circumstances. Text 71. Once there was a Sankirtan festival to glorify the Supreme Lord in an assembly of the demigods, and the Gandharvas and Apsaras were invited by the Prajapatis to take part in it. Purport. Sankirtan means chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement, as people sometimes mistakenly think. The Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life, and the holy name is chanted in all the higher planetary systems, including Brahmaloka and Chandraloka, not to speak of Gandharvaloka and Apsaraloka. The Sankirtan movement that was started in this world 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore not a new movement. Sometimes because of our bad luck, this movement is stopped. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servants again start the movement for the benefit of the entire world, or indeed the entire universe. Text 72. Narada Muni continued, being invited to that festival, I also joined, and surrounded by women, I began musically singing the glories of the demigods. Because of this, the Prajapatis, the great demigods in charge of the affairs of the universe, forcefully cursed me with these words, because you have committed an offense. May you immediately become a Shudra, devoid of beauty. So we should be very careful in our movement and not sing cinema songs instead of the Hare Krishna movement, the mantra. Hare Krishna. Let those who have ears hear. Purport. As far as Kirtan is concerned, the Shastras say, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant the glories of the Supreme Lord and the holy name of the Supreme Lord. This is clearly stated, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One should chant about and glorify Lord Vishnu, not any demigod. Unfortunately, there are foolish persons who invent some process of kirtan on the basis of a demigod's name. This is an offense. Kirtan means glorifying the Supreme Lord, not any demigod. Sometimes people invent Kali Kirtan or Shiva Kirtan. And even big sannyasis in the Mayavad school say that one may chant any name and still get the same results. But here we find that millions and millions of years ago, when Narada Muni was a Gandharva, he neglected the order to glorify the Lord, and being mad in the association of women, he began to chant otherwise. Thus he was cursed to become a Shudra. His first offense was that he went to join the Sankirtan party in the company of lusty women, and another offense was that he considered ordinary songs, like cinema songs and other such songs, to be equal to Sankirtan. For this offense, he was punished with becoming a Shudra. Text 73. Although I took birth as a Shudra from the womb of a maidservant, I engaged in the service of Vaishnavas who were well versed in Vedic knowledge. Consequently, in this life, I got the opportunity to take birth as the son of Lord Brahma. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, Mami partha vipashritya ye pisyu papadyonaya striyo vaishyas tata shudras tepiyanti padam gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. It doesn't matter whether a person is born as a Shudra, a woman, or a Vaishya. If he associates with devotees repeatedly or always, sadhu sangina, he can be elevated to the highest perfection. Narada Muni is explaining this in relation to his own life. The Sankirtan movement is important, for regardless of whether one is a Shudra, Vaishya, Mlecha, Yavana, or whatever, if one associates with a pure devotee, follows his instructions, and serves the pure devotee, his life is successful. This is bhakti. Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam. Bhakti consists of serving Krishna and his devotees very favorably. Anyabilashita Shunyam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. If one has no desire other than to serve Krishna and his devotee, then his life is successful. This is explained by Narada Muni through this practical example from his own life. Text 74. The process of chanting the holy name of the Lord is so powerful that by this chanting, even householders, grihastas, can very easily gain the ultimate result achieved by persons in the renounced order. Maharaj Yudhishthir, I have now explained to you that process of religion. Purport. This is a confirmation of the Krishna consciousness movement. Anyone who takes part in this movement, regardless of what he is, can gain the topmost result achieved by perfect sannyasi, namely Brahmagyan, spiritual knowledge. Even more important, he can advance in devotional service. Maharaj Yudhishthir thought that because he was a grihasta, there was no hope of his being liberated, and therefore he asked Narada Muni how he could get out of the material entanglement. But Narada Muni, citing a practical example from his own life, established that by associating with devotees and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, any man in any condition of life can achieve the highest perfection, without a doubt. Text 75. My dear Yudhishthir, you Pandavas are so very fortunate in this world that many, many great saints who can purify all the planets of the universe come to your house just like ordinary visitors. Furthermore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is living confidentially with you in your house, just like your brother. Purport. Here is a statement exalting a Vaishnava. In human society, a Brahmana is the most respected person. A Brahmana is one who can understand Brahman, the impersonal Brahman. But hardly ever can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita as Param Brahma. A Brahmana may be extremely fortunate in having achieved Brahmagyan, but the Pandavas were so exalted that the Parabrahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was living in their house like an ordinary human being. The word Bodhi Bhaga indicates that the Pandavas were in still a higher position than brahmacharis and brahmanas. In the following verses, Narada Muni repeatedly glorifies the position of the Pandavas. 76. How wonderful it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Parabrahman, Krishna, who is sought by great, great sages for the sake of liberation and transcendental bliss, is acting as your best well-wisher, your friend, your cousin, your heart and soul, your worshipable director, and your spiritual master. Purport. Krishna can become the director and spiritual master of anyone who is serious about getting the mercy of Krishna. The Lord sends the spiritual master to train a devotee, and when the devotee is advanced, the Lord acts as the spiritual master within his heart. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Krishna does not become the direct spiritual master unless one is fully trained by his representative spiritual master. Therefore, as we have already discussed, the Lord's representative spiritual master should not be considered an ordinary human being. The representative spiritual master never gives any false knowledge to his disciple, but only perfect knowledge. Thus, he is the representative of Krishna. Krishna helps as the guru, or spiritual master, from within and from without. From without, he helps as the devotee as his representative, and from within, he talks personally with the pure devotee and gives him instructions by which he may return home, back to Godhead. Text 77. Present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood even by such great personalities as Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May that same personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees, and who is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, and by cessation of material activities, be pleased with us. Purport. Lord Krishna is not properly understood even by such exalted personalities as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. What to speak of ordinary men? But by his causeless mercy, he bestows the benediction of devotion upon his devotees, who can understand Krishna as he is. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyasjasmitat vataha. No one within this universe can understand Krishna in truth, but if one engages in devotional service, one can understand him perfectly well. This is also confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 7.1. Maya saktamana partha yogam yunjan vadashrayaha asam shayam samagram mam yata gyasyasi tachchinu. Now hear, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Lord Krishna himself teaches how one can understand him perfectly well, without a doubt. Not only the Pandavas, but everyone who sincerely accepts the instructions of Krishna can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. After instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj, Narada Muni prays for the Lord's blessings, that he be pleased with everyone, and that everyone become perfect in God consciousness and return home, back to Godhead. Text 78. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the best member of the Bharata dynasty, thus learned everything from the descriptions of Narada Muni. After hearing these instructions, he felt great pleasure from within his heart, and in great ecstasy, love, and affection, he worshipped Lord Krishna. Purport. It is natural that when someone belonging to one's family circle is understood to be very great, or becomes ecstatic in love, thinking, oh, such a great personality is our relative. When Sri Krishna, who was already known to the Pandavas, was further described by Narada Muni to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally the Pandavas were amazed, thinking, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is with us as our cousin. Certainly their ecstasy was extraordinary. Text 79. Narada Muni, being worshipped by Krishna and Maharaj Yudhishthir, bade them farewell and went away. Yudhishthir Maharaj, having heard that Krishna, his cousin, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was struck with wonder. And you notice, Krishna was worshipping Narada Muni. Just take note. Purport. After hearing the conversation between Narada and Yudhishthir, if one still has any doubts about Krishna's being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should immediately give them up. Shall I repeat that? I think I'll repeat that. Tamal, can I repeat that? Give me permission. Why not? Okay. After hearing the conversation between Narada and Yudhishthir, if one still has any doubts about Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should immediately give them up. Asangshayam samagram. Without any doubt and without any defect, one should understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus surrender at his lotus feet. Ordinary persons do not do this, even after hearing all the Vedas. But if one is fortunate, although it may be even after many, many births, he comes to this conclusion: Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Text 80. On all the planets within this universe, the varieties of living entities, moving and non-moving, including the demigods, demons, and human beings, were all generated from the daughters of Maharaj Daksha. We're all in the same family. We're all cousins and sisters and grand disciples. And I have now described them in their different dynasties. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 15th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, completed on the night of Vishakha Shukla Ekadashi, the 10th of May, 1976, in the temple of the Panchatattva, New Navadvip, Honolulu, by the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Thus we may happily chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. End of the 7th canto. Oh, all right. Oh. Rubbing salt into the wound. Well, that was pretty wonderful. That was about as wonderful as it gets. The instructions, the last part of the 7th chapter, Science of Devotional Service, and the encouraging words of Narada Muni, how it is that anyone can become a pure devotee of Krishna if he just gives up his doubts.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, open mic time. Yes, Pranahari. Go ahead, go for it.
I like the point Srila Prabhupada made about how Krishna directs anyone who is serious about getting his mercy. And he quoted Tesham Satra Yuktanam. how Krishna gives the intelligence for one who's constantly engaged with serving him with love. I like this because it gives me hope that if I don't have love of Krishna at the moment, then if I get serious, then it's possible that Krishna could direct me
Not possible.
further.
As we heard, it's sure, a sure thing. Thank you, Prana. Who else? Yes, back to Chris.
I thought it was really fascinating and amazing how it separated the five elements into a difference from the body, and even going deeper into the soul or Brahman, as I understand it, and how it also stated how the spiritual world is the eternal reality and the real nature of things, and then that the illusion of the Maya, or the separation of these elements which the body is built on, is simply a reflection of that. And so I just wanted to pay my respects to that, and thank you for the reading.
Thank you for that very nice realization. There's another hint that comes from this idea that when one sees there's a difference between the thread and the cloth, or there, or that there isn't any, or there is a difference, then it's an illusion, because the cotton coming out as a little ball of fluff from a plant, and then they put it through a process and make thread. You can no longer see the ball of fluff. Mm-hmm. And then the thread, they spin it and they make thread. Mm-hmm. Then they take the thread and they make the cloth, and you can no longer see the thread. Mm-hmm. So Krishna's like that. Mm-hmm. He's actually pervading everything, but at the same time, he stays the same person. That's the issue. Mm-hmm. So if we understand that clearly and worship Krishna with love as the source of everything, even though we can't see him because he's there and pervading everything, we can't see him because of the transformations that have gone on from the time he created the material energy.
Hare Krishna.
Then we can actually achieve perfection. Anyone who is willing to accept this without doubt. Haribol Tamal. Oh, I thought you were leaving. Oh, you are leaving. Oh, all right. Hare Krishna. You're busy. Yes, I was reflecting on that same section, and I was realizing that even if we're not capable of understanding everything immediately, but if we just give up our doubt, we become happy. Sometimes we think, oh, it's so hard, Krishna consciousness. But actually, Krishna consciousness is not hard at all. As we just experienced together as a group, hearing this simple truth about what Krishna wants and what's he willing to do to help us, and how he's willing to be our own. He's a devotee. He's the devotee of the devotee, and the devotee is his. The devotee's worshiping him, and he's worshiping the devotee. When Narada Muni left, before he left, Krishna worshipped him. That's unconditional. We need to lay down. She takes little kids. It would be perfect to take care of young girls. They're all like little kids, all the new millenniums with all this entitlement, bubbling out of them, Anyway, think about it. Get serious, and in the future, maybe you can take care of others. Bring them into Krishna consciousness. Yeah, it's a nice idea. That's the purpose of this little gathering that we do every single day, is to find those serious devotees who can do something, and ones who can preach, who can understand and preach. So we wish you, all of you, well. And I have to go now because I have an appointment with somebody pretty soon. Unless somebody else has something to say. Is there something else in the...
Not online. I was going to comment about...
Please, Patrick, please comment.
I was just
Comment.
going to acknowledge I liked the progression from seeing the oneness and difference of everything, the forms, and then going into oneness of action and mind with aligning with Krishna, and then aligning that with your family as well, and bringing your whole Grihastha ashram into oneness of serving Krishna. And seeing that progression build was nice.
Very nice. From every position, in any position. That's Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
Oh, well, no, I just got 2 more comments.
Wow, okay, go ahead. I was expecting something. I was surprised we didn't have any after that reading. It was pretty good. So wonderful.
Rati's comment is, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight, especially, I appreciated how you placed different emphasis on words of famous verses, thereby bringing them deeper into my heart. And then,
It is my duty. It said there, if you just do your duty, whatever position you're in, and that happens to be my duty. There you have it.
Katie Romai comments, Maharaj, thank you very much for your effort of reading the Bhagavatam and teaching us. I would like to ask, since we are spirit souls with material body, into which form we will enter once we are purified enough to Goloka Vrindavan? Will we have the same bodies or bodies of our last reincarnation, or will we have completely different bodies?
The body that you have now is made of material energy, including your mind, your subtle body. You also have a spiritual body, but the spiritual body is covered by the subtle body and the gross body. So when you become a pure devotee, when you leave your body, you leave behind your gross body and your subtle body, and in your spiritual body, you go back to the spiritual world where you belong. And if you are not a pure devotee, then as much advancement as you've made, you will go to a body in your next life in which you can start off where you left off in your last body. And in that way, Krishna consciousness is the only thing that you don't lose. Neha bhikkamanashosti pratyavayo vidyate swalpam ap yasidharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Just even a little advancement in Krishna consciousness. This is why we should not hesitate. This was Krishna's instruction to Arjuna. Even if you have doubts, even if you think you can't be a great yogi, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, if you just take to Krishna consciousness even a little bit, then that guarantees you a human form in your next life. Because if you don't do that, you can take any one of the species of life. Therefore, Krishna says, akamo sarvakamo va moksha karma udaridi tivrina bhakti yogina yajanti parasham param. It means that whether you're full of desires or you're, free of desires, material desires, or whether you're hankering to be free from material desires, you should approach Krishna and worship Krishna tivrina, with intensity. Then you will, your spiritual body, which you have now but is dormant, not active. I mean, it's active in the sense that consciousness comes from it, but it's dormant in the sense that you can't remember who you are while you're in the material condition. Then you will wake up and you will realize who you are. Prabhupada told us that when we go back to the spiritual world, it's just like waking up from a dream, a bad dream. And then sometimes they ask, well, will I remember? Why do you want to remember a nightmare? Do you try to remember your nightmare? No, you try to remember the good dreams you had. You don't try to remember your nightmares. But right, nightmares cause suffering. Yes, Kalindi.
Actually, I don't understand the last verse.
Really?
I mean,
You
I
don't understand
understand,
the
but I don't
last
know who
verse? Let's hear it again. Go ahead, read it.
I understand it, but it's kind of out of... On all the planets within this universe, the varieties of living entities, moving and non-moving, including the demigods, demons, and human beings, were all generated from the daughters of Manu. Maharaj Dakshu, sorry. I have now described them and their different dynasties. So, but the whole canto was about... The canto was about the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev, and then the different dynasties.
All the dynasties were there.
Okay, maybe I haven't.
They were all there. Go back and read it again. From in the beginning, that's where it started.
Okay.
That's where it started.
Okay. So the trees and everything is every living entity, non-moving
Yes.
and non-moving. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all coming from the Prajapatis. The idea is to remind us of the philosophy of what was just been told, that Krishna is actually all-pervading.
Yeah.
You know, and the oneness is to accept that in variety, that oneness in variety.
Is it still Narada Muni speaking then?
Yes.
The last.
Oh no, that's Shukadev.
Shukadev.
That's Shukadev Goswami
okay.
speaking. Yes.
Okay, that's now.
That wasn't Narada Muni summarizing the thing. That was Shukadev Goswami summarizing for us. Okay? Alright, Hare Krishna. All glories to Narada Muni, all glories to Shukadev Goswami, all glories to the assembled devotees who take the trouble to come and hear. All glories to Srimad-Bhagavatam. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, 6:30, same time, same place, same station. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.